At Complex Trauma Resources, we work with parents, educators, caregivers, and everyone in between with kids who have really big behaviors. And often they want to focus on the obvious question of, well, how do I reduce these massive behaviors, the meltdowns, the screaming, the tantrums, the anger, the massive behaviors. And the hard answer is there is no behavior modification program that is going to work in the long run. The way we reduce these behaviors is through an inside-out approach, which takes time. But there's an old saying that you can't push a river, and we have to meet our kids at where they are developmentally. So when our kids are dysregulated and they're lying, when they're frustrated and they're yelling, we feel that chaos in our own body. And the number one way that we can teach our kids and work through that is to regulate ourselves and to use ourselves. So, okay, you may be wondering, how on earth do I actually practically do that? Okay, so the next time that your kid is very dysregulated, the best thing that you can do is ground yourself and to not get sucked into this vortex of dysregulation and internal chaos that they are feeling. And as a result, we feel so intensely in our own bodies. And one way that we often do that is that we will be telling ourselves a story that's not helpful. So paying attention to the story that you are telling yourself. And notice if the story sounds, something like this. I can't help my kid. I'm such an incompetent parent. I am such a failure. I can't believe this is happening again. Make it stop. I don't know how to make it stop. These types of stories heighten our own stress response systems, and they make it very difficult for us to be present with our kids because our bodies then are primed to defend ourselves. So really pay attention to the story that you are telling yourself and notice if you can change it to reflect really more reality. So that could mean something like, this really sucks right now. This wasn't what I was expecting, but my kid is having a really hard time with disappointment right now. Or, I can't control my kid's feeling. My kid is showing me where they're struggling at right now, and we're going to make it through this. Too often when our kids are having these big behaviors, we go into this problem-solving mode, well, because we want it to stop, so that makes sense. But if we take a moment to pause, to ground ourselves, we have a much better chance of actually reflecting on what they might need as opposed to reacting to this emotion that's coming up for them just in the moment. So, this is all fast, these interactions. In a matter of 30 seconds, you might take a breath, check in with yourself, pay attention to that story that you're telling yourself, and then notice that your kid is having a hard time, notice that your kid is struggling with disappointment, but that doesn't mean, for example, that you're an incompetent parent. It's just showing you that your kid is struggling. When we do these sorts of things, we're teaching our kids so many important life skills, but 3 that kind of come to mind right away is, one, we're modeling and implicitly teaching our kids that their emotions don't scare us, that they don't have to be alone in their emotions, and we're showing them how to regulate their bodies, which in turn, we are scaffolding these skills to them for them to do it later as they get older and are able to do that more easily.